You've told yourself you just need more discipline, more willpower, a better morning routine. That's not the problem, and it never was. The real reason you keep sabotaging your own progress has almost nothing to do with laziness. It has to do with a part of your brain that thinks safety matters more than success. Here's what this actually is. Not motivational fluff, not another believe-in-yourself pep talk. The actual wiring behind why smart, capable people torch their own progress right when it starts working. But before we get into how to fix it, you need to understand why your brain does this in the first place. Because the mechanism is older than you are, and it's not broken. It's working exactly as designed. Think about the person who signs up for the gym every January 1st, buys the shoes, downloads the app, quits by January 19th. We call that a lack of discipline. It's not. Or the person who's one email away from launching their business, and suddenly decides they need 3 more months of research. That's not caution. That's fear wearing a lab coat. Why does this happen to people who are clearly capable? Why do the smartest person in the room and the most talented person on the team both find a way to blow it right before the finish line? Because self-sabotage isn't a character flaw. It's a survival algorithm running in the background, and it's older than your ambitions by about 200,000 years. Your brain has one job above all others: keep you alive. Not happy, not successful, alive. And for most of human history, the biggest threats weren't tigers, they were change. A new social status, a new level of visibility, a new version of you that hadn't been tested yet. Change meant unknown risk, and unknown risk meant possible death. So your brain built a system to slam the brakes the moment things start moving too fast. That system didn't get the memo that it's 2026 and the biggest risk in your life is a slightly awkward email, not a saber-toothed cat. So it still fires, every time. This is where fear of failure comes in, but not the version you think. You don't fear failing. You fear what failing would say about who you are. Fail at the thing you didn't try hard for, and it doesn't touch your identity. Fail at the thing you actually gave everything to, now it's evidence. Now it's data you can't unsee. So the brain does something clever and cruel. It convinces you to protect your identity by never finding out. And here's the part almost nobody says out loud. Fear of success is just as real, and often stronger. Success means new expectations, new scrutiny, new standards you now have to keep hitting, forever. Staying small feels safer than being seen. Self-sabotage isn't the enemy of your goals. It's the bodyguard for your identity, and it's terrible at its job. Now let's talk about the part nobody explains. The actual machinery underneath all of this. Because fear is too simple a word for what's really happening. Imposter syndrome feels like a personality trait. It's not. It's a math error. Your brain compares your messy, behind-the-scenes reality, the drafts you deleted, the doubts, the 2 a.m. panic, against everyone else's finished, polished front stage. You're comparing your rehearsal to their performance. And of course you lose. Every time. That's not humility. That's a rigged scoreboard you built yourself. And here's where it gets darker. The more competent you actually become, the louder that voice gets. Because now the stakes are real. Now people expect things from you. So the brain reasons, quietly, without asking permission, that if you never fully show up, you can never be fully exposed. Which brings us to perfectionism. The self-sabotage that wears a suit and calls itself a virtue. Nobody says, "I'm afraid to finish this." They say, "It's just not ready yet." Sound familiar? Perfectionism isn't high standards. It's fear, dressed up in a deadline that never arrives. Studies on procrastination back this up hard. One widely cited study found the average person spends over 55% of their procrastination time on activities they don't even enjoy, just to avoid the task that actually matters. That's not relaxation. That's escape with extra steps. So why does this matter to you specifically? Because procrastination isn't about time management. It's about emotion management. You're not avoiding the task, you're avoiding the feeling the task brings up. Anxiety, inadequacy, the fear of being seen trying and failing. Delay the task, delay the feeling. Simple trade, terrible trade. Now stack low self-esteem on top of all this, and you get something even sneakier. The self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe deep down that you don't deserve the outcome, your behavior will quietly work to make that belief true. You'll show up late to the interview you wanted. You'll pick the fight right before the relationship gets serious. You'll spend the bonus the moment it hits your account. Not because you're careless, because some part of you needed the story to stay consistent. I remember sitting in my car outside a job I'd wanted for 2 years, engine off, resume printed, and instead of walking in 15 minutes early like I'd planned, I sat there for 40, telling myself I needed to review the printout one more time. I didn't get the job, It took me another year to understand that 40 minutes wasn't preparation. It was a hidden vote against myself, and I didn't even know I'd cast it. Here's the twist, and it's the part most people never hear. Self-sabotage isn't actually about fear of failure at all. That's the surface story. The deeper driver is identity protection. You sabotage the goals that would force you to become someone new. Because becoming someone new means the old you has to die a little. And the brain treats identity death like actual death. It will fight dirty to prevent it. This is why willpower alone never fixes it. You can't out-discipline a system that thinks it's saving your life. Willpower is a rowboat. Identity is the ocean current. Guess which one wins? That single idea, that you're not broken, you're loyal to an old version of yourself, changes everything about how you fix this. Because now the work isn't try harder. The work is becoming, quietly and consistently, someone the old fear no longer recognizes. So how does someone actually break this loop? Not with a to-do list, with a shift in how they relate to the fear itself. Imagine someone starting today. First, they wouldn't try to eliminate the fear, because that's a losing game, and chasing it wastes years. They'd learn to act alongside it instead. Fear shows up, sits in the passenger seat, says something dramatic, and they keep driving anyway. That single shift, from wait until the fear leaves, to move while it's still talking, is worth more than any productivity hack ever sold. Then they'd start catching the moment right before the sabotage, not after. The email left unsent for just one more day. The workout skipped for a reason that sounds responsible but smells like relief. That gap, the 10 seconds between the urge to quit and the decision to quit, is the only place change is actually possible. Miss that window, and you're back to explaining it away tomorrow. Someone serious about this would also stop negotiating with perfectionism and start shipping unfinished things on purpose. Not because messy is better, because finished and flawed rewires the brain faster than perfect and hidden ever could. Every time you survive being seen half done, the threat detector recalibrates a little. Do that 50 times, and the fear stops screaming. It just murmurs. And somewhere in there, they'd rewrite the internal story. Not with affirmations shouted at a mirror, which rarely survive contact with a bad Tuesday, but with evidence. Small, boring, repeated proof. I said I'd show up, and I did. That's it. That's the whole mechanism. Self-esteem isn't built by believing in yourself. It's built by keeping promises to yourself, over and over, until the belief has no choice but to catch up. Self-sabotage isn't cured. It's outgrown, one kept promise at a time. Here's the line worth remembering. The goal was never to silence the fear. It was to stop asking its permission. Because the version of you that finally breaks this loop doesn't feel fearless walking into the room. They just walk in anyway, fear and all. And that's the whole difference between the people who talk about change and the people who quietly become it. Which raises a question I haven't touched yet. If identity is really the thing driving all of this, then the real leverage point isn't fixing your habits at all. It's figuring out exactly which version of yourself you've been unconsciously protecting all along. And that's a much harder, much stranger question than it sounds.